What is up, musicians and producers of YouTube? Jack here. Thanks for tuning in. And I have a very special video for you today. I'm joined by a special guest reigning from India, and his name is Mune. And he is a good friend of mine and an electronic music producer and an upcoming artist in the electronic music scene. And I'm very fortunate to have him on the show today. So, Mune, thank you for joining us. I'm looking at your Spotify right now, and it says you currently, at the time of this video, have 18,842 monthly listeners. And to me, knowing you and knowing your story and knowing where you've come from, that's very impressive, and it's an amazing thing, and I know you're proud of that. Some of your tracks here have over 600,000 streams, and I know you've got aspirations to go beyond that, but where you're at now with what you've got has just been amazing. So I want to have this chance to talk to you today a little bit about your story, where you came from, some of the struggles you've faced, and an idea that I try to impart to people on my channel, and that's the idea that you don't need an amazing setup to make music. You don't need an amazing setup to succeed in music, to gain followers and listeners. I mean, looking at your numbers, it's pretty apparent that you've done a lot with what you have. And I think that's really the important thing, is doing as much as you can with what you have and not worrying about what you don't have. So, Mune, thank you again so much for being on the show. I'm going to turn it over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story?
Thank you, Jack, for having me today. Well, I started producing music back in 2016. After I, listened to Avicii's music, I was so inspired by him that I decided to start making my own music. In 2016, I first released my official. It was not official remix, but I have the rights to share that, and it was also landed on BBC Radio. And after that, in 2017, I released my first debut single, "Sad Boy," which was also supported by Petit Biscuit. After that, I released my second single, which was "Over You," and I got this singer-songwriter from America, based in Las Vegas. He's really great in singing, and he's really great friend of mine right now. And we did this collab, and we end up signed with the Loli Palace and now on Chill Nation. And after that, I recently just got Apple distribution from Cobalt Music. I recently also got again featured on BBC Radio and MTV's VH1 India channel, and also featured by Rolling Stone India magazine. So yeah, I'm currently doing fine.
Awesome. Well, thank you for giving that little description there. That was awesome. I mean, from someone who's known you from the beginning, the time of that first, remix you did, it's really cool to see a lot of the promotion you've been receiving and the blog write-ups, especially by Rolling Stone, which I think is, it's incredible. So what was it about Avicii and his music that got you into music production back in the beginning?
Well, Avicii is it's really special. I never felt that way whenever I listen to Avicii's songs. His melodies got something really special about that you don't found in many songs. I can't explain this feeling in words. It was so special for me, and whenever I listen to his songs, I just want to try to get on that level. But for me, it's like the song he wrote and produced, no one can match up his songs. For example, take Avicii's Levels, Wake Me Up, and Hey Brother. Those songs are one of a kind. You can't make another Wake Me Up. You know what I mean? The production, the vocals, the lyrics, everything is so good. It's one of a kind. There's no other producer or back then until who can produce same song like that. So it was so special for me that I started making my own music, and I still trying to achieve that level that Avicii had. And what most special about Avicii songs? It's his melodies. They are so simple yet so special. For example, take Levels melodies. It just goes like da 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 da. It's so repetitive, so simple, but still it's so crazy. Not anybody can do that. And if you go on with his vocal songs, his music is so happy, but the vocals are sad. But he introduced new things, he merged country house with electronic and created a new genre. Actually, whatever we are seeing electronic scene right now, it's all because of Avicii. Avicii really impacted the industry and impacted so many people's life. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, it really sounds like the emotion, I think, of the music that he made connected with you on a really deep level. And, I think we all have those artists that inspire us, or that maybe for the first time they ignite that spark within us that make us want to do what they
Yeah.
do because we're so connected to the music they're making. So that's super awesome that you're able to share that story and connect with his music that way. And it's undoubtable the influence that he's had over the industry, especially the electronic music industry, and the style and the sound that continues on. I was rocking out to Hey Brother the other day. I've been trying to get better at singing, and something about that song, I really love singing that song. So that was a lot of fun. You first started making music, you were inspired, you had the thought, I want to make music like Avicii. What did you do next? Like, did you have a computer? Did you have a music production set up? What kind of equipment did you have, and how did you go from the inspiration from Avicii and turn that into actually starting to make music for the first time?
Well, when I decided to, I'm going to make my own songs, that time I seriously don't have any idea how I can make music like in my bedroom. I seriously, back then, I was just thinking like you can make music only if you have a big studio. But then I don't even have a good internet connection that time. So I used to save like small money, and then I collect that and go to cyber cafes to search on Google and to do that. And when I found out that Avicii use FL Studio, which is a digital audio workstation like for Logic and Ableton, so I finally found that yeah, he used this software, and you have this lots of plugins which you can create sounds with them. So I finally found that yeah, I can work on that. So then the second thing was that time I seriously don't have any money to buy the full version because it was a lot for me, because I can't even afford the cyber cafe fee. So I was just like collecting small amounts for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just downloaded the trial version, and then I start to watch tutorials on YouTube. I watch like one or two videos of Avicii. He was like doing recreating his famous tracks which he created for like back then. So I watch those, and I watch like so many tutorials like how I can begin. So yeah, slowly I started to get the more and more information, and then develop this thing that how to start a song, how to do the like the patterns and the about the mixer channel, how to arrange stuff, your samples. So yeah, I learned everything from YouTube. I'm still learning, and I think I will never going to stop learning. And I still use my Pentium processor PC because I still can't afford to buy a new laptop because of my conditions. So yeah, but realize that you don't need lots of gears to make music. I mean, if you just had a computer, that's it. That's all you need. You just download this software and have some good plugins and start to make music. Just try to figure out what you can do, what you have. Like if you don't have anything, don't worry about that. Just figure it out. You can still make music from that. I was not making excuses that I wish I had good speakers. I wish I had audio interface or something like that, or a MIDI keyboard. Or I still don't have anything right now, but still I figure out that how I can make music out of that. And these headphones is like very cheap. I mean, you can't even literally hear space in this, but still I created my song live video in this. They are like very cheap, and can you imagine that even I was not expecting that the mix was so good that it ended up featured on Chill Nation. So yeah, I mean, if you really want to do this and music is everything for you, you will going to find a way how to do that.
That's awesome. That's super inspiring. I know a lot of people can relate to the idea of maybe only having a computer, but when you start thinking about saving up any money you have just so you can go to the internet cafe to pay for the internet to be able to watch a handful of YouTube videos or download something, like FL Studio, just the trial version, like that takes it to a whole new level. And that alone is like the determination that must take to go to work, to save up that money, to then spend it all just to go to an internet cafe. Like that's super inspiring. And I think that anybody watching this should take note of that, because I know at least in America, we're fortunate that most of us have a computer, most of us have internet, most of us have free access to internet because there's libraries, there's McDonald's we could go to and use the Wi-Fi. Like, some way or another, we probably wouldn't have to pay in most situations. Now that's not everybody, but for the most part, So you think about that, and then you think about the fact that like, the Spotify numbers, the successes you've had with music, those have been accomplished through songs that were made on a computer that's what, 10, 15 years old? Like, a Pentium processor. Like, I can't even imagine how I would feel if I had to sit down and use that, because I'm spoiled. I mean, my computers aren't new by any sense. Both my computers are over 6 years old. One of them's 8 years old now, but they're i7s. They're beefier than a Pentium. So, I give you a lot of props. I give you credit. I think it's amazing that you stuck through at this point and you haven't given up, because I know from my own perspective, like, I can't imagine pushing that hard and working that hard with so many limitations. And just so everybody watching is aware, I'll throw a picture of your setup on the screen now so you guys can see what you were working with. But I mean, you had nothing, and the determination that it takes to get through that, to keep making the music, to have the success you've had, is just totally admirable. And I give you a lot of credit for that. And, we both know that you haven't made it yet, right? You're still trying to work. You're still trying to achieve these goals. You still don't have a lot, but it's amazing to see that the success that you have had has encouraged you and pushed you to keep working, and has enabled you to really take this seriously, and I think that's amazing. One thing you shared with me a while back was that the culture there isn't really supportive of people following their dreams, especially when it comes to music. I think you told me that if you wanted to be looked at by society as someone who's respectable, you either had to be a doctor or an engineer. At the time, you were seriously considering leaving school to pursue music full time. And I know there was backlash from your family, there was backlash from friends and society. People looked at you like, you were a failure in a lot of ways. How could you tell us a bit about that time? What what was that like for you? What did it take to push through that and not give up when it probably seemed like everybody was against you?
Seriously, it's so different here in India. I mean, if you came from a lower middle class, or from a poor class family, so it's seriously, you can't, go for your dreams, because you have your family to support. I mean, you have to work hard on studies, and you have to work hard on your job so you can earn money and you can support your family. You have to do this. I mean, even if you want to and your family want to support you, but still you can't do that because you don't have that financial support. So that's why, I mean, in India, if you have came from a rich family or from a good financial family, you can go for your dreams, or you can do anything you want. But if you came from a background like me, like I came from a farmer family background, so still my family is not doing good financially. You can say we have bank loan for this house, but still I never complain about that, because I'm so grateful for whatever I have right now. So, I have this cell phone and I have this PC which I can use to make music. So I'm just seriously so grateful for this. But when I decided to finally do this, so it was seriously so hard for me, because like even my family never heard about anything like this. I mean, they were like, "What is this even? I mean, how much you will going to earn in this? Is it stable income or something like that?" Because when I was in college, in university, it was like so hard, because I have to study, and I was working on my music together. So I was like, when I started, I was getting nowhere. I had nothing to show to my family, parents, to my other family members, and it was like the society. They all started to think that, yeah, I'm lazy, or I'm wasting my life, or something like that. That I don't want to do job or something like that. But my father was so supportive. He never stopped me to do that. But he was, I don't know how to explain it. He was not against it, but he was against it because he was worried about my future. But still, he supported me and never stopped me from whatever I was doing. Now things are really different. I mean, when I show these news articles and these Rolling Stone articles to them, so they now think that, yeah, it will take time, but yeah, I will do something good in my life. So yeah, and people around me, they are also like trying to understand it, and they are appreciating my work and respecting me now. I mean, in my family, but still, after these articles and stuff, people started to know me, and they DM me for the feedbacks, and they say me that they are really inspired from me. So yeah, I'm still at the same stage with my financial conditions, but I'm making progress in my music. So yeah, I hope I will start doing more good in that. So yeah.
I remember back in the day, when we first started talking and video chatting and stuff, and when you were first making this music, you mentioned the poverty and the financial situation you were in, and I'll throw a picture up of your old house. But when I saw your old house and you showed me a picture of it for the first time, it was like, wow, like that's where you're making music. That's where you're making these first songs that started gaining traction. And my perspective is like, what is my problem? Why am I complaining that I don't have a huge studio? And it was a great perspective shift. And I want to talk about that. And part of why I wanted to do this interview was to share that with more people, because there's a lot of people out there, at least my perspective, that are not grateful for what they have. They forget that they could have so much less, because they're very narrow-minded in the perspective. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm not just trying to shame other people. Like I'm guilty of this too. You wake up and you're used to what you have, so you don't appreciate it. But it's incredible. Like when I look at the picture of your old house, I think, do you even have running water? Like, how do you have electricity in that thing? It didn't look like something that was livable. It looked like a shed, basically, or a shack, So, I mean, tell me about that. What was it like? I know you only had one room in that house, right? Like, what was that like?
My parents, my elder brother, and me, we four people were like sleeping in one room, and the other room was the kitchen. That's it. And then we have like steel shades over to stop the water in rainy seasons, like for the shade basically. So it was like that. So yeah.
Like steel panels for the roof?
Yeah, exactly.
Were they, so they weren't even like a permanent roof, like you could take them off. They were just put on top.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Did you have running water and like a shower and everything in the house?
No.
No.
There was no water pipe connection, not at all. I have to go out. If you see that black water tank outside, so I have to go out. I have to use the bucket to take out the water, and then I have to go inside to use that. So that's how we were using the water. So yeah.
But you did have electricity because you had a computer, right? So
Yeah.
that was all good,
Yeah, there was no issue with the electricity, but yeah, I mean seriously, this house is like 1000% way better, and I'm seriously so grateful for this.
Yeah.
Back then there was so many days that we had to like put bucket to stop the water. Like there was so many times that water coming out from the roof, and we were like can't even sleep in rainy season.
So all you producers out there with a nice air-conditioned house and a MacBook and a fancy laptop, don't think you don't have enough to make great music, because you do. You don't need the studio. You don't need the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. You just need your laptop and some software and a heart. And I think that's the thing that you embody the most for me is your heart, right? And the spirit about you, and how much of that's driven you. Because at the end of the day, there's a trap in all the gear and the equipment and money and buying things, in the sense that, like, if you're spending a ton of energy pursuing these tools to make music, you got to first make sure that you're training this tool, right? And this tool and these tools. Because if your ears and your heart aren't attuned to what you're trying to do, and you don't give that the energy, and you're instead focusing on, how many keyboards do I have, or MIDI controllers, or synthesizers, or plugins, then you're never going to get anywhere. And I think that's something that has always inspired me about you is, you truly trained yourself without any kind of ability to rely on the equipment that you had. And I know for a fact that I could take you and put you in $1 million studio and you'd make amazing music. Or I could put you in a cardboard box with a laptop and you'd make great music. You know, that ability to be resilient and just focus solely on your craft and music because you love it. It's amazingly inspiring. And I know that, you know, at the beginning, you probably had very little hope of ever becoming anything, of ever having people listen to your music. You know, 18,000 monthly listeners now. You know, you've made great progress. But at first, I'm sure there was a lot of fear. You know, you had your family relying on you, and it sounded like your dad was really supportive. But I understand the idea that, like, he's supportive, but at the same time is afraid because he doesn't want you to fail and he wants you to be able to support yourself and have a family of your own, you know. But to think that, like, even knowing that there was a chance that maybe you could be wrong, you know, maybe you never succeeded, maybe you never gained traction, maybe your music was never liked by anybody, you know, that's a lot of risk to take. And that's a lot of trust from your family that you potentially were risking breaking, you know, because you had to prove yourself to them in a sense, you know. And I bet that was a tough spot to be in. When was the first time that you started seeing progress or you started seeing traction on your music? You know, when was the first time you said, all right, I think I can do this? You know, people are liking what I'm doing. People are seeing the music and responding well. And, you know, when did it first kind of transition over for you?
Back in 2017, when I released my debut single "Sad Boy," which was inspired by Petit Biscuit uh, Petit Biscuit song "Sunset Lover." I self-released that song, and I was expecting nothing. Seriously, saying that I was expecting nothing. That there was this big French YouTube channel and SoundCloud page named Electropose. I don't know how they found me, but they just reposted my song on SoundCloud and uploaded that on their YouTube channel. Maybe the reason was it was so similar to Concert Lover, and I brought my own style and sound in it. And I also created these vocal chops because that time no singer wants to work with me. So when they reposted that song, Petit Biscuit was like, following that channel. So he also listened to that song and he also liked that song and reposted that and supported that. So it was so crazy for me. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm doing so great because after these two people shared my song and supported that on Spotify, like in a day, my streams just went from 0 to 30K in just 24 hours.
Wow.
It was like so crazy for me. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing good. And then I started, getting offers from other producers, and they were like, asking me, dude, how did you made those vocal chops? Because even I don't realize that my vocal chops were so unique, and those sounds were so unique. And you won't believe that I created those sounds with stock plugins because that time I don't even have idea about the plugins and how I can download them. And I don't even have the money to buy the plugins. So after Sad Boy, you can say people started to know me as like Mune have his own sounds. People started talking like that. Like Mune have his own sound. Like when people listen to my songs, even without read that artist name, they can tell that yeah, this is Mune's. After
Awesome.
that song, I just started to gain more exposure, and then so yeah, I'm starting to feel that yeah, I'm doing good.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And I think, like, the conversation of how you got your own sound is a common one that I hear a lot of people ask is, you know, in any genre of music, you know, how do I get my own sound? How do I sound different than everybody else? And the thing that always comes back to me that I don't think a lot of beginning producers or musicians understand is that, but it comes from one, your inspiration, right? And how you process your inspiration. And it might be one person that inspired you or 50 people that inspired you, but your combination of inspiration funneled through you becomes your own sound. And a lot of times it can come out of imitation. You know, a lot of people are afraid to imitate because they want to be unique. But the reality of the situation is you are never going to sound like Avicii. No matter how hard you try, you will never sound like Avicii. But the
Exactly.
fact that you tried with the limited technology that you had, with the limited money and equipment that you had, turned into something very unique. And that's amazing. You know, that's what's really cool. And what I want people to kind of take away from that idea is that if you're doing it right, you shouldn't have to worry about your own sound because it should naturally come from pursuing your craft, using your inspiration in your own music, and imperfectly replicating, right? Imperfectly copying those you're inspired by. It's not to say your goal should be to copy someone as closely as possible, but don't be afraid to pull from outside inspiration, you know, because at the end of the day, to assume that you're going to ever sound like your inspiration is false. You know, you're not able to because you're different.
The problem came when people, start to compare themselves. As you said, that I can't, make sounds like Avicii. I can never. So when people compare themselves with others or with their idols, that's the reason they are unable to find their own sounds, because they are constantly trying to just creating what their idols are doing. So yeah, that's the reason that people, most of the people, unable to found their sound. So yeah.
Yeah, comparison is a monster that, I mean, I'm very guilty of falling into. You know, it's very easy to look at an idol or an artist that you really look up to and say, how are they so good? I'll never be like that, you know. But
Yeah,
there's a quote I like, and it says, don't ever compare your beginning or middle to someone else's end, you know, or their middle or end.
exactly,
And it's the
exactly.
idea that, like, most of the time, you don't see the hours that they slaved away in their empty room on their laptop that got them to that major success, right? And the time that you're in now, where you're working hard and you feel insignificant and you feel invisible, that's the time that makes the biggest difference, right? That's the time that people are going to later look at you and say, you got it so easy, right? You're an instant success. But it's like, no, you should have seen where I was at, you know? And luckily for you, you've got pictures of your old house. You've got pictures of your old setup. You know, you can point them back and say, you think I had it easy? I didn't, you know? Because in my mind, anybody that I talk to that's complaining about what they have should look at you and should be like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to go work harder because it's not what I have. It's the fact that I'm not working hard enough. Because if you can get there, I know I can get there, and I know a lot of people can get there because you
Yeah,
know you're a success story that had pretty much everything going against you, and out of nowhere, your music just picked up. And you know, some might say it's luck, but I don't think it's that. I think it's the hours of work you put into it. It's the fact that by the time you released that music, you were really good at what you were doing, right? And you had a unique sound. And you know, a lot of people, at least that I've talked to, they might produce music for a couple months and then put it online and be upset that it's not going anywhere. But correct me if I'm wrong, but you were spending like 8 hour days, right? Like 8, 10 hours a
more,
day making
more
music
than more
for
than it, more than 8 hours.
yeah.
I'm still like, I just sit in like in the afternoon, like 12 12 p.m. or 1 p.m., and I just work straight continuously on my sounds, because of my old PC. Things takes a lot of time for me. Like, for example, if someone processing vocals or creating a sound, so what I have to do, because my computer can't support more than three plugins. Like, for example, Serum. If I just open three serums separately and add some, like, for echoing some effects plugins, that's it. That's the maximum my PC can take the load. Like, for example, if I created a pad, so I export that as wave file. Once I'm happy with that, uh, you know pad sound or synth sound, I just export that, and then again I put that in my main project. So yeah, that's how I'm making stuff and processing stuff. So that's why it takes a lot of time for me, and somehow it's also stops me to being creative to play with the plugins, because I can't play with the to do some creative stuff with the plugins, because if I start to do that, my PC just crash, or it
Wow.
start lagging. I never stop there, because I still find other ways how I can go more creative with that, and I finally found so many ways to go creative. I'm doing good with that. So yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable. 3 instances of Serum. It's just crazy to think that you would have to set the sound exactly how you like it, export it, re-import it, and then you're locked in. You can't change it at all. Like that workflow is just wow. I can't imagine that. That's crazy. And I give you so much credit for sticking through that, because I honestly, like, if I was in your situation, I would probably throw the computer at the wall and be like, forget it. I'm done. I'm gonna do something else. So that's inspiring. I want to challenge the people watching. And if you're a fan of Mune and his music, and he's touched you in any way with his music, and you've connected with it, I'm going to put a link in the description where you can donate to his cause and donate to what he's trying to do. And I think I want to challenge you. We need to get this guy a new computer. So if you have been inspired by this story or inspired by his music, consider donating below. Honestly, I'm sure it would mean the absolute world to him, and really would help further his cause and help him to make great music. Because just listening to your story, and the fact that you're struggling, like everything seems so against you, but you're still pushing, and it's just so inspiring. So if you do feel like supporting Mune, thank you for your generosity. I know it really does mean the world to him. But let's get back to it. I want to ask you, after you had Sad Boy reach the success that it did, what was your next step? Like, where did you go from there? Did you work on more remixes? Did you get another song? Or I know you had a collaboration with Zack Gray, which had a lot of success. So I'd love to talk a little bit about that.
Before I released Lie Over You, I was doing so many remixes. Like, if I count everyone, I have done over 100 of remixes that never got the official release. Those included like official remixes for the artists like Chainsmokers. So it was like a big opportunity for me, but they never, because I understand I was not that good. I mean, my sound quality was not industry standards, was not meeting the industry standards. So yeah, I totally understand that. But even if even after I got so many rejections for the official remix, I never stopped doing remixes. I'm still till date. I'm still doing that. So I created this instrumental, which was very rough. So then I decided to, let's put a singer on this song this time. So I was just searching online, and I was like, listening on Spotify, listening on YouTube, SoundCloud, YouTube. Then I came up uh, on this artist, singer songwriter from Las Vegas. His name is Zack Gray. Like, we are like brothers now. Like, he's like a big brother for me now, and I'm his little brother. We are so close to now. But back then I was like texting him on his messenger that I have this instrumental, can you please give it a listen if you want to like collab in this song. So he was literally not trying to listen to me. I mean, he told me that he was like was not taking that seriously. But I was persistent, and I was like keep bugging him, but nicely. I was just keep bugging him nicely, and I was just keep asking again and again. And Zach was like, okay, dude, I gotta do this song. So he finally decided to do the song. He started to mumbling that, and the first word that came up, which was lie over you, and we realized that there is no other song with this name,
Mm.
and still it's the only song with this song name. So yeah, so then we started to start video call each other, and my English was so bad back then, but thanks to Zach Gray, he got so many patience, and he somehow understand what I want, and he was so great understanding, and he created these vocal melodies, and made those awesome ambient dreamy vocals for perfect vocals for my song. So he sent back those vocals to me, and then I add more stuff in the song, and then we self-released that. I told Zach that I have no record label connection right now, so I'm going to self-release like I self-released the Sad Boy. When I self-released that, the guy from Chill Nation Luli Palace, he was like added with me on Facebook. So he saw my post that I shared my new song. He listened to that, and he reached me out that your dude, Loli Palace want to sign this song. So I was like so like it was a big shock for me, of course, because Loli Palace is so big and they are like number one independent record label right now. So it was so crazy. So yeah, I was like, yeah, of course I want to do this deal. So yeah, that's how we end up doing the collab and getting signed by the Loli Palace. So yeah,
That's amazing to hear that at first Zach didn't want to deal with you or didn't want to listen to the song, and it's amazing that through persistence you were able to forge such an awesome friendship and an awesome relationship and an amazing track too. Such a great collaboration. So, that's a lesson that I think can be learned. It can be a challenge to maybe stay in the line between annoying someone and just being persistent, but it sounds like you were able to skate that line and figure that out. So what are your plans from this point forward? You're still, I know, talking to you, that you're still not at a point where you feel like you've made it. You don't feel like you've succeeded. You're not really supporting yourself or your family with your music yet, and I know that's a goal of yours and something that means a lot to you. Where do you see yourself in 2020? Once this whole terrible worldwide crisis ends and we're allowed to leave our houses, do you want to play some shows? Are you have more collaborations lined up? Or are we gonna see another EP? I know you just released Emotions, the EP, which, tell us about how that came about. Is that going really well for you? Where's that at? And what are your plans for the future?
my debut EP was like those four songs. For every song from that EP had its own story. Like for me, like I just poured everything in those songs which I have been through from last year. Like I was in a dark place, I was in depression, I was fighting with anxiety, and I'm really sorry about that because it's so personal. I'm not feeling comfortable to share why I was in depression, but still, if you're going to check out what I posted and what I have shared in the caption, you will somehow get the idea of what was the reason behind that. But yeah, those four songs are my story, so you can feel those songs. And yeah, there are so many people that message me that yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, those four songs don't even have vocals, they are just simple instrumental this piece of music. So that's the story behind that EP. And now I'm feeling really good, and I'm doing really good with my mental health right now. So finally I have decided for my future songs, I finally decided that from now on my songs will going to change a lot because I'm going much higher BPM that I usually do, like around 100 or 105 BPM. But now I've decided that I will be more into Avicii style, but sound will be mine. Like it will be like combination of Avicii and mine style, and so that I can play these songs live also. Because currently my songs are not for the live performance. Here in India, people want more high BPM stuff. So yeah, and like in January, in January I started finally started to do some DJ. I played 3 gigs, and then after this pandemic and this craziness started to happen, so I lost this opportunity also. So yeah, I'm waiting to all this to finish, so yeah, I can start get back to for my live gigs. And I was somehow getting some money, but it's really hard right now because it's hard for right now for everyone I know. But yeah.
So obviously, we're kind of all stuck indoors, and a lot of gigs have been canceled for everybody, and musicians are struggling a lot. I'm sure you can't wait to play live again, and hopefully, for the sake of the whole world, we get through this quickly, and you can get back to playing live, because I know you were super excited to start that, so that's amazing. For those of you who are fans of the music, when might the fans be able to expect a new release? When's the next music coming out?
Well, they can expect in like around 2 months. I am going to release my new single. So yeah.
5 years from now, where do you hope to be? Where you living? What achievements have you made? How big's your studio? What's your goal for 5 years from now?
Seriously saying that I don't want luxury stuff. Even in future, if I get successful, I still don't want luxury stuff. I just need those things which I really need. Like I don't want to, waste my money. Seriously, even if I have in future like millions, I'm still going to use my money like only on those stuff which I really needed. And and seriously, I don't even want millions of money. Like I just want enough to support my family, to support my music. That's it. I don't want a luxury life. I seriously don't want.
Yeah.
I seriously love my this simplicity and simple life because it's also helps me to stay humble. So yeah, I seriously don't want a lot of luxury or a fancy car. I just need enough money to support my family. That's it. I will be going to will be so happy for my rest of my life. That's it.
And maybe a nice computer so you can have more than just three
Yeah,
serums open at
exactly.
once.
Sure. And some good studio monitors and a nice laptop. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I do really appreciate you being on today and sharing your story. It's been amazing to know you the last 3 or so years and see where you've grown and be a part of that in any way that I have. For those of you that have supported him, thank you from both of us. I know it means a lot to him. Is there any way that your fans can reach out to you or connect with you? Where should they follow you on social media? What's the best way for them to stay in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach me out on my Instagram and they can search me on Spotify or they can Google my name. Just reach out on my Instagram. So we have everything on there. My music, I post everything about my what's coming, what I already achieved in my highlights. So yeah, they can reach out to my Instagram.
Well, Mune, it's been great having you. Thank you so much for being on the show. For those of you who want to check out his music, I'll leave a link to his Spotify in the description. If you want to follow him on social media, it's This Is Mune. And I'll put a link in the description to Facebook and Instagram if you're going to go ahead and give him a follow. Again, like I said earlier, I'll leave a link in the description to his PayPal if you want to donate a couple dollars here and there. Anything would mean the world. Let's help him get a great new computer so he can keep making awesome music and sharing it with the world. Is there anything you want to say just to close us out?
Thank you so much, Jack, for having me. I just want to tell everyone that me and Jack are really close friends, and we know each other from since 5 years. Yeah, I guess we have completed 5 years together to know each other. So yeah, I'm really grateful to have him as a friend. He really supported me so much with my music, and like he even sent me some stuff. I still remember my first MIDI keyboard was by him, by Jack, that he sent me back then. And currently, recently, last year on my birthday, he sent me a electric guitar so I can use that uh, in my production. So I'm really grateful for that, and he always there for to support me. So yeah, and now he's trying to share my story with you guys. So yeah, I'm really thankful for his support. So yeah, thanks so much, Jack. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, man. It's been an honor and a pleasure to know you and watch you through this journey. And I'm excited to see where this all takes you because I know the sky is the limit. So thank you, brother. Thank you, friend. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you so much.
I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next upload. Peace.